guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about personal statements. Now, I've had this video requested a lot to me over the past probably academic year, and I was quite reluctant to make this video purely because when I was, doing my undergrad applications, I got feedback from Bristol, which at the time was like my first choice uni, which basically said that my personal statement was weak, and I was scarred for a long time by that feedback, thinking that I've written the world's most awful personal statement. So I never really wanted to make a video offering my advice to you guys if it wasn't good. But then when I did my postgraduate application for my masters for King's College London, I basically did a fire ass application, so I feel like I've redeemed myself and that I can now offer some good advice for personal statements. So I want to go through and explain how I structured my personal statement for my undergrad and then how I did it for my postgrad, and then offer a general template, I guess, for how you should structure your personal statement, and then just go on to tips more generally. So this video is going to encompass my advice from the university admissions teams at a few universities, and also lots of advice from online reputable sites. So I've basically collated all the information that's available to me and put it in this one video. So hopefully this will be useful to you. So for my undergrad, so I was applying to law. I ended up applying to Bristol, Manchester, SOAS, York and Surrey. And this is how I structured my personal statement. So I put why I wanted to study that subject, and I basically did this backstory of how I got into law and why that sparked my passion. And then I spoke about my interests and ideas related to the subject. So I said like what I thought the subject was and what qualities would be involved, and different areas of law and what was good and bad about them. Just that's basically what I put. Then I had personal experience, so I spoke about being on the debate team and setting that up at my college, and then work experience that I had done that wasn't related to law but that had similar qualities. And then I ended off with extracurricular activities, so in that I spoke about my hiking and doing kickboxing and then doing YouTube. So that's kind of what I put in my undergraduate statement, and for each kind of area I linked it back to the course and why I wanted to study it and what I had done and how that would help me. And then for my postgraduate personal statement, they were both, by the way, both personal statements for postgrad and undergrad were 4,000 characters. So this is how I structured it for postgrad. I did an introduction and basically said like, this personal statement will encompass the 4 reasons for why I want to study the course, which are blah 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 blah. So that was my introduction. Then I went into academic study. I spoke about what I'd previously studied and why I wanted to study the master's course. Then I spoke about work experience that I'd had. So when I was working in government and I went to the Department of Health for like a day, and how that opened my eyes up to the health sector, because obviously I'm doing a master's in medical ethics and law. And then I spoke about personal experience, so work experience that I had done and things I'd seen on my work experience. And then also I ended with a conclusion of why I wanted to study that course, basically that I'd relish the opportunity and what skills I had that would enable me to do the course well. So that's how I structured my postgraduate personal statement. So the recommended structure would be to have an introduction, because it's easier for a reader to read a passage of like 500 words, which is what a personal statement is, if you signpost at the start what you'll be covering and why. Then go on to the academics. So why are you interested in that subject? What is it about that subject that interests you? Are there any, articles or cases or examples within that subject that have spoken to you or that you've read and that you really enjoyed, and why? Then you want to go further and talk about your interests beyond academia in your chosen area. So not just what you've studied at school or what you perhaps have read, but have you seen anything online? Have you gone to a conference? Have you spoken to anybody in that field? Like, what further things have you done other than what you've been taught at school? Then you want to talk about work experience, if you've had any, or if you haven't had any in that related area, are there skills in the work experience you've had or the part-time jobs you've had that could be related? And then finally, you want to talk about your hobbies and extracurriculars, because universities want to see you as a person rather than this robot of somebody who's really interested in the course. They want to know what makes you you. So what other things are you doing? They want to see that you can balance studying alongside all of your extracurriculars. And then finally end with a conclusion that basically summarizes everything you've said. I'd say that's a very solid structure for a good personal statement. So I'd say the first port of call for writing, especially an undergraduate personal statement, is to look at the UCAS advice and guidance. They have really, really good web pages that set out what you need to include, why, potential structures, why you need to include certain things in those structures, and just what certain universities might look for. So that's a really good starting place. Secondly, you want to leave yourself plenty of time. When I was writing my undergraduate personal statement, it seemed very daunting to sit and think that these 500 words, this one page of A4 is all the university is going to see and know about me other than my grades, and that however I write this will basically determine my future in the university that I go to. It can seem very stressful, so you want to leave yourself a lot of time to ensure that you can keep going back to it and write the best quality personal statement that you can, so that you're really giving yourself justice to your admissions department. So I started writing mine in the summer before, so like August time, like now really, and then I submitted mine I think in like the November December time, so I gave myself a few months to write it. But I was thinking in the back of my mind from like June before, how am I gonna like structure and write my personal statement? So it was always like in the back of my mind, and I wrote multiple drafts too. So I have 3 sections now remaining for this like tips section of the personal statements video, which are things to avoid, things to include, and things to do. So things to avoid are, you don't want to have quotes, don't use other people's words, use your own. You don't want to have cliches of like, I've always wanted to help people ever since I was 2 or whatever. Like, no, you probably didn't, okay? Like, the admission department will discount all of that. You want something that seems genuine and real and also captures you from the start. You don't want to be informal, you know, you're writing in a professional context, and you don't want to try and be funny or try and get the admissions department interested in that way, you know, unless you're applying for a degree in comedy. It's just not going to look very professional, and it's going to show the admissions department that you're not serious about the course that you are wanting to undertake. So now things to include. So you want to have good grammar, good spelling, you know, good punctuation, things like that, because they're basic things that can show an admissions department that you have taken the time to really look over your personal statement and make sure that it's the best of your ability and it really does you justice. And also you want to have personality. This is one of the main things that I've heard from admission departments, where they say that people just kind of do this cookie cutter kind of personal statement that tells the admissions department what they want to hear, but it doesn't actually say who you are as a person. So basically, don't make it boring, don't make it, you know, generic. Show your personality in there, show the things that you have done that other people might not have done, show things that make you you, whether it's a random hobby that you have like me, or I mentioned kickboxing, the fact that I have a YouTube channel for a law personal statement. Mention little things in there, you know, like especially for my postgrad application, you know, it was for a medical ethics and law course, but I mentioned that I had work experience at the Department of Health. So it's just like a little thing in there that you think, oh, this person's done something a bit extra, or they've done something that's just different, and that's what they really want to see, because it makes you stand out. You also want to be analytical but not descriptive. You know, being descriptive is saying what, but being analytical is saying why and how that has impacted you. So don't just say you're interested in the course, say why you're interested in the course, what has sparked that interest, what has enabled you to pursue that interest, and why do you want to pursue it further during this course. That's all they really want to know. And then finally, for the do's, so do your research and look at the university, look at the admissions department, look at the skills that are needed, look at what the course needs, and then match up your work experience and your general experiences and your knowledge of the subject to those things. If the course says they want people to have good communication skills and good organisation, then what have you done in your life to demonstrate those skills? You also want to look at what future career you could do with that degree and that course, and then link in some way of why you want to do that course for that future career, whether it's, you know, directly linked to that course or not. Basically say what your long-term goal is, because it shows the admissions team that you've actually thought about the long-term objective of doing this course and how you need it to get where you want to go, and it shows them you're just a bit more committed basically. And yeah, that's pretty much all my advice for writing a personal statement. I hope this video was interesting and I hope it helped. And if you have any questions about, you know, personal statements more generally, then please put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. If you want, you know, further advice videos on applying to the university or, you know, anything around this subject, then also let me know down below. I will see you in the next video. I will see you next week. Bye guys.